All right, so get this. We're diving into AI and social media. But not just any AI. AI that makes social media less of a shouting match and more about actual understanding, you know? The kind of AI that could help us decode each other. Like, seriously, have you ever totally misinterpreted a text or a tweet? It's so easy to do online. Well, someone out there is suggesting we bring in the AI to, like, step in and help us figure each other out. Could it work? I don't know. But we've got an expert here who can help us unpack all of it, the possibilities, and the potential pitfalls.
Yeah, it's interesting because the goal here isn't to force everyone to agree, right? It's more about just making communication clearer so we can at least grasp different perspectives.
Okay, so that's a huge difference. We're not trying to win an argument online. We're actually trying to understand where the other person is coming from.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about it. How much of online debate gets bogged down in assumptions and misinterpretations? What if AI could help us sort of unpack those hidden meanings and explore the shades of gray instead of just black and white argument?
Okay, so less you're wrong and more help me understand why you think that.
Exactly. Which brings us to one of the most, I guess, talked about ideas. An AI tool that could actually rephrase our online comments to make them more diplomatic.
Hold on, wait. Are you saying there could be like a button that turns my snarky tweet into something my grandma could read? Sign me up.
Well, not exactly, haha. It's a bit more nuanced than that. The goal isn't to censor anyone or force them to be nice. It's about making sure the message is clear and avoids accidental misunderstandings.
Okay, so it wouldn't change my opinion, just the way I express it, so I don't accidentally start a flame war.
Exactly. So think of it like this. The AI could, point out ambiguous language and suggest more precise wording. You know how some phrases can have multiple interpretations?
Oh, totally. Like, that's interesting. It can mean anything from I'm genuinely intrigued to, like, you're an idiot. Context is everything.
Exactly. And AI could, in a way, help us provide that context by prompting us to elaborate or choose words that better reflect our meaning.
That's pretty cool. But wait, there's more, right? This AI rephrasing tool, it could do even more than just smooth out our grammar.
Much more. Imagine it gently nudging you to consider the underlying assumptions behind your comment. We all have biases, but we're often unaware of how they influence our communication.
Okay, that's kind of terrifying, but also fascinating. It's like having a personal therapist for my online rants. But seriously, if it helps me catch myself before I say something dumb, something based on, like, a faulty assumption, that could be huge.
Absolutely. It's about fostering self-awareness, which is crucial for any kind of meaningful communication, especially online. But there's even more to this rephrasing tool. What if it could offer different perspectives on your comment, like showing you how someone else might interpret it?
Ooh, that's tricky. Wouldn't that be like putting words in other people's mouths?
It's a delicate balance for sure. The AI could never claim to speak for anyone else, but it could offer potential interpretations based on common communication patterns and cultural contexts.
Okay, so it's more like saying, hey, someone reading this might think you mean X, even if that's not what you meant.
Exactly. It's all about promoting understanding and reducing the chances of miscommunication. And of course, any AI involvement would have to be totally transparent. You'd always know when the AI is suggesting something and have full control over whether to use its suggestions.
Okay, that's key. I like that it's about empowering us to communicate better, not dictating what we can or cannot say. But what about all the truly nasty stuff online? The hate speech, the harassment, the misinformation. Can AI help with that too?
It can definitely play a role. For example, AI could be trained to identify emotionally charged language and suggest calmer alternatives. Not about censoring strong opinions, more about preventing things from escalating into personal attacks.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like a digital peacemaker stepping in before things get out of hand, but it can't be a replacement for human judgment, right?
Of course not. Human moderators will always be essential. But AI can be an incredibly powerful tool to help them prioritize and address the most serious issues. And it's not just about the technology itself. The platforms themselves have a huge responsibility to design environments that encourage constructive dialogue.
Oh, imagine if social media was actually designed to reward thoughtful comments instead of just clicks and shares.
Yep.
Like you get points for backing up your opinions with facts or asking genuine questions.
Those are great ideas. And while AI can help flag problematic content, it's ultimately up to the platforms to set the rules and enforce them fairly.
So it's a team effort. AI as the assistant and humans as the referees. But even with the best tools and the best platforms, we still need to level up our own online skills, right?
You're absolutely right. We need to become better at critical thinking online.
questioning sources, spotting fake news, understanding our own biases. It's like we all need a built-in BS detector.
Uh-huh. I'd sign up for that upgrade. But seriously, how do we get better at all of that? It sounds like a full-time job. Well, education and media literacy are key. We need to teach people how to evaluate information critically and understand how social media platforms work. It's about empowering users to be savvy online navigators, not passive consumers of whatever pops up in their feeds.
Okay, so it's not just about fixing social media with AI. It's about fixing how we use social media. We need to be more mindful, more critical, more intentional.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we have a responsibility to ourselves and to each other to create a more positive and productive online experience.
That's a powerful thought. So AI can be a valuable tool, but it's not a magic solution. We've got a lot of work to do on ourselves, too. And I'm curious, what are some of the specific AI tools being developed right now to help us with all this?
Well, we've talked about the rephrasing tool quite a bit.
Yeah, that one is definitely on my wish list. What else is out there?
Yeah, it seems like that rephrase button has really captured your imagination, but there are so many other fascinating tools in development. Some are even already out there.
Okay, now you've really got my attention. Spill the details. Where can I find these AI helpers? Are they hiding in plain sight?
Let's start with a big one. AI-powered content moderation. Platforms like Facebook and Twitter are using AI to flag things like hate speech and threats. It's like having a superpowered team of moderators scanning millions of posts in real time.
Wow, so it's like a digital immune system for the internet.
That's a great way to put it. It's about identifying and neutralizing harmful content before it can spread.
But hold on a sec. Isn't there a risk of the AI getting it wrong? Like flagging a heated debate as hate speech? Or missing something truly insidious because it's cleverly disguised?
Those are totally valid concerns, and that's why human oversight is still so important. Think of it as a collaboration. The AI flags the most likely offenders, and then the human moderators can focus their energy on the most complex cases.
Okay, so it's not about replacing human judgment, just making it more efficient and effective. I like it. Okay, what else is AI tackling in the social media world?
Another huge area is the fight against misinformation. You remember that? Hold up, that's been debunked. Pop-up you were imagining.
Oh, I'm still dreaming of that feature.
Well, it's becoming a reality. Some platforms are partnering with fact-checking organizations to identify and flag false or misleading information. They might add a warning label, or link to credible sources, or even adjust their algorithms to reduce the spread of that content.
So instead of just seeing a random post claiming the Earth is flat, you'd also see a link to NASA's website proving it's round.
Exactly. It's about providing context and empowering users to evaluate information for themselves.
That feels way more empowering than just having some algorithm decide what we can and cannot see. Okay, so we've got AI flagging bad behavior and calling out fake news. What about those awesome rephrasing tools? Are those actually out there yet?
There are a few exciting projects in development. For example, one team is working on a tool that analyzes your comment and suggests alternative phrasings that might be more constructive and empathetic.
So instead of sending that angry email to customer service, I could get a suggestion that's more likely to get me a helpful response.
That's the idea. It's about helping people communicate their feelings effectively, without resorting to language that might escalate the situation.
Ooh, I need that for dealing with my internet provider. What else is in the works?
There are also tools being developed that can help us identify our own biases. These tools could analyze your writing and highlight patterns or assumptions that you might not be aware of.
That's like having a personal bias detective on call. It might be a little humbling, but ultimately, if it helps me communicate in a more inclusive and understanding way, I'm all for it.
Those are precisely the kinds of outcomes these developers are hoping for.
This is all super exciting, but let's be real for a second. Is any of this actually working, or are we still in the pie-in-the-sky phase?
It's still early days for a lot of these tools, and we're in the experimental phase. But there are some encouraging signs. Studies show that AI-powered content moderation can significantly reduce hate speech on platforms. And users who've tried rephrasing tools say they appreciate the nudge toward clearer, more empathetic communication.
That's awesome to hear. But even if these tools are effective, they can't solve every problem with social media, right? We're still dealing with echo chambers, filter bubbles, and the spread of conspiracy theories. AI can't magically fix human nature.
You're absolutely right. AI is a tool, not a magic wand. It's up to us to use it responsibly and ethically to create the kind of online world we want to live in. We need to be mindful of potential pitfalls, like algorithms that amplify existing biases, or create filter bubbles that trap us in our own echo chambers.
So we need to be smart about how we design and deploy these tools. It's not just about the tech itself, but about the human values and intentions behind it.
Exactly. We need to ask tough questions and be willing to adjust course if things aren't working as intended. We can't just blindly hand over control to the algorithms.
It's like we're all part of this giant social experiment, and we need to be careful not to blow up the lab.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
We need to be both excited about the possibilities and cautious about the potential downsides.
Okay, so as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what are the key takeaways you want our listener to remember about these real-world AI tools?
First, AI is already shaping how we communicate online, and that influence will only grow. Second, we're seeing some promising developments in areas like content moderation, misinformation detection, and even communication assistance.
So there's a lot to be optimistic about.
Absolutely. But we also need to be aware of potential risks and be thoughtful about how we design, deploy, and use these tools. AI is powerful, but it's not a panacea. The future of online communication is in our hands.
So, to our listener out there, what are your thoughts on all this? Are you excited about the potential of AI to improve social media? Do you have any concerns? We'd love to hear your perspective. Okay, so we've talked about the potential benefits of AI on social media, and we've looked at some real-world examples. Now let's get a little philosophical, shall we? What are some of the big ethical questions we need to be asking as AI becomes more and more intertwined with how we communicate online?
Well, one of the most interesting ones to me is authenticity. If AI is helping us smooth out our rough edges and choose our words more carefully, are we still being genuine?
That's a great question. It makes me wonder, if my snarky tweet gets rephrased into something super polite, is that still me talking? Or am I just becoming a puppet of the algorithm?
Yeah, it raises some important issues about agency and control. Are we giving up too much of our own voice to the machines? And whose values are being embedded in these algorithms anyway?
Oh, whoa, that's a good point. What if everyone starts sounding the same online? All perfectly polished and agreeable. We might lose some of that raw human spark that makes online interactions interesting,
Exactly. And then there's the potential for manipulation. What if these tools are used to subtly influence people's opinions or even their actions?
Ooh, yeah, that's a little scary. Imagine an AI that knows exactly which emotional buttons to push to get you to buy something you don't need or believe something that isn't true.
It's a slippery slope, for sure. And it highlights the importance of transparency. We need to know when AI is being used and understand how it might be influencing what we see and how we react.
Okay, so we need to be aware of the potential for AI to be used for good or bad. Knowledge is power, right? If we understand how the technology works, we can be more critical and discerning.
Absolutely. And it's not just about individual awareness. We need to have these broader societal conversations about how these technologies are developed and deployed. Who gets to decide which values are embedded in these systems?
That's huge. If it's just a handful of tech companies calling the shots, we could end up with a very narrow view, a potentially biased view of what good communication even means.
We need diverse perspectives, diverse voices at the table, to make sure these technologies are used in ways that benefit everyone, not just a select few. And we need to consider the impact on different communities and cultures, too. What works in one context might not work in another.
Right. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. It's about being mindful, adaptable, and constantly evaluating the ethical implications of these tools.
You got it. It's about approaching AI with both enthusiasm and caution, carefully weighing the potential benefits against the potential risks.
Okay, so we've identified a lot of complex questions here, but before we totally spiral into existential dread, let's focus on what we, as individuals, can do to navigate this AI-powered future. Any tips for staying grounded and authentic online?
Be aware. Pay attention to how platforms are using AI. And don't take everything you see at face value. Question your sources, think critically. Be skeptical of information that seems designed to manipulate your emotions.
So basically, be our own BS detectors.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask questions. If you're not sure how something works or why you're seeing certain content, speak up. Demand transparency from the platforms and the developers behind these technologies.
Good point. Even if the AI is listening, it can't learn and improve if we don't give it feedback, right? What about our own communication? Any tips for staying true to ourselves in an AI-enhanced world?
Be mindful of the language you use and be intentional about your online interactions. Don't let the algorithms dictate your voice or your values. You have the power to choose how you engage online.
Don't let the robots turn us all into bots. Haha, got it.
Remember, technology is a tool. It's up to us to use it wisely and ethically to create a better world for ourselves and for future generations.
Well said. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into AI and enhanced communication on social media. We've explored the possibilities, the challenges, and the ethical dilemmas. But the biggest takeaway for me is this. The future of online communication is not predetermined. It's up to us to shape it.
I couldn't agree more. It's our responsibility to have these thoughtful discussions, ask the tough questions, and demand that these technologies are used in ways that align with our values.
So to our listener, what are you going to do to shape the future of online communication? How will you use your voice and your actions to create a more connected, more understanding, and a more human digital world? We'd love to hear your thoughts, and until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep those conversations flowing.
This is DigitView.